Okay, we would like to start the meeting for the second budget hearing of fiscal year 2024 for September 27th, and it is 7:04 PM.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Casa Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes,
Present.
Ms. Perez is absent, Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Mr. Tumidor,
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present. Present.
Madam Vice President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Okay, now we're moving on to invocation. Our invocation to be led by the city clerk and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Tundidor. Everyone, please stand.
Lord, we pray that you bless this meeting and the decisions that are made. Amen.
Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please read the meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk as a courtesy to others. Please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Members of the public, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
Okay, we're moving on to comments and questions. Do we have any in the chamber?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue, Hialeah,
Okay.
Florida. Just kind of going over this 4% thing. Much appreciated that we went from being a 10% franchise to a 4% franchise, and we need to eliminate that. Just like I'm very proud of everybody and the administration getting out of the school business. But that's what basically I'm here to talk about tonight, and hopefully see what answers we can get, because I have some more questions regarding this Durham tax on my water bill. Just to kind of like see if maybe I can get an answer or not. If you know from the top of your head, Mayor, great. If you don't, it's fine. Are we separating that money on a monthly basis to Durham to send it to Durham regarding fixing the pumps in the city, or how does that work?
There's an ongoing effort to line water projects, tubería,
Yeah.
in order to address this issue of water loss, watersheds, water pumps, lift stations. On a monthly basis, money has to be separated, that the money that comes into the department, there is deposits that are held, and all those monies have to be accounted for. And then there's monies obviously that move toward Durham for whatever items that we have to pay. Yeah, that's the question, I believe, at the last meeting, of what the dollar amount was. And I don't recall off the top of my head, but it's the equivalent, if I'm not mistaken, it's about a month and 3 weeks. No, 1.3. I don't know how it's calculated, but it's not a wash with money, no pun intended. It's money that comes in, there's money that's going out, there's money that's being held that can't be touched.
The money that's not being touched is what exactly? Because the thing is, there's a lot of things regarding And again, I'm gonna bring this up to the county too, because I just have a better understanding where the tax dollars are going. And I have seen the improvements, you know, yesterday's council meeting was very, very great, very informative. But at the same time, I don't see, you guys just got $114 million more. You know, like, how does that balance really? I would challenge any councilman today or councilwoman to ask that question. The amount of money that you guys got extra and the amount of money you guys receive on a month and 3 weeks basis, is it gonna hurt the residents to take that 4% off? Do we really need that? That's the question I have for each one of you tonight.
Well, I could have the answer.
Yeah, of
for
course,
you
of course.
Automatically. Yeah, the 4%, if we were, first of all, in order to do away with it, it would take a whole other mechanism. But the reality is that eliminating the 4%, if we could do that, it's a $3.5 million hit to the budget. Juan, you've been here long enough. There has been a lot of stuff that's been deferred. And the one thing I'm not going to do is put ourselves in a situation where we continue to tread water, okay? This budget, in essence, is being massively funded by all the new investments that's coming into the city. And that one needs to take into account of that, okay? The tax rate of the city, the rates that the city charges.
Impact fees, basically.
Whether it's impact fees, stormwater fees that haven't been touched in 20+ years.
I agree.
and still have not been touched.
May I get more time?
Well, if you're gonna ask a question, I gotta answer, but I don't
No,
know if
that's
this is gonna turn into a monologue.
No, that's
We
fine.
can't do
that's
it right
fine.
now.
I'll just stop.
You have 30 more seconds.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
No, I said I'll give you 30
Oh,
more
okay, I'm
seconds.
sorry. Mayor, that's fine. You know, I think if that's the number, again, I don't know. You know, as the administrator, as the mayor, your accounting department's here today. If it's $3.5 million, guys, can we work with $3.5 million less? Vivian, Councilwoman, you've been here a very long time. You know that you guys have worked with way less. We work
Can I
way
answer that?
less.
You're saying that we could work with
Way
way less. Okay. All these years that we've worked with less, every time you've come up here,
Mhm.
you have complained about things not being done. Not you specifically.
Yeah.
But
Others,
the
others.
residents
Yeah, others.
have complained about
Mhm.
not having their streets done,
Mhm.
not having their pump stations done, not having their parks unattended. So many things because we had less money and because of everything that happened in those 10 years in the
20.
past.
Mhm.
Those $3.5 million means that we're not going to do a street, or we're not going to do a pump station, or we're not going to give the services that our residents are demanding
Mhm.
because it wasn't done for so long. So the fact that you asked me is a perfect person to ask because I know what it is
Been here a long time.
not to have the money to do what is needed to be done in the city. So we're not in the position we are right now, which is catching up. So I'm very proud of the fact that we had the things that were promised last year shown yesterday that were done and what's going to be done this year. That's the first time in all the years that I've been here that I have had those type of presentations. And my hat's off to the mayor and the administration for doing that. But the fact that you're saying to reduce right now, when we are making up what we have to make up is not a good time. Come
I'll
back
come back
next
up.
year,
I'll come back up.
come back next year and we may be able to talk about it.
I'll come back up.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to announcements and amendments or corrections to the agenda. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Eric Johnson, highly firefighter, local 11 2. Just for a correction for the people in the audience in this land of Zoom and the council. We don't have $114 million more. We don't. We got $114 million in total, and that's considering collecting 100% of ad valorem. And the state statute only requires you budget 95% of expected incomes for ad valorem. We don't have $114 million more. If we did, I want 9 new fire stations, new trucks. I want my pension back. I want everything. And I want a gold set of bunker gear to go on a set of fire. Okay. We don't have it. Exactly. We don't have it.
I know how to raise two.
As to address what you said, we've been doing so much for so long with so damn little. It ain't gonna work anymore. It ain't gonna work anymore. I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna work anymore. There's two ways to go when you hit rock bottom. It's sideways or up. It's about time we start going up because I'm a little damn tired of going sideways. I can't do any more for any longer for any less. It's not going to happen on behalf of the members of the fire department. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now. It cannot happen any longer.
Good evening. I apologize. I got stuck behind the train. So we're on comments and questions. Anyone else have any comments or questions for tonight? Come on up. Just give your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to. No, but that's okay. You just wait till you get to the microphone so everyone can hear
Jorge
you.
Prendes, Jorge Prendes. My
address.
property address, it's 1680 East Fifth Avenue in Hialeah. I'm very concerned about the quality of life in Hialeah. It's a disaster, okay? Many times I have called the police, they never showed up. For people parking in front of the fire hydrants, for people parking, almost blocking the entrance to the driveways in my property, they don't show up. Twice. I've been there waiting for an hour and 2 hours, they don't show up. I moved in Hialeah in the 1970s, and I have never seen it the way it is now, okay? People are overdeveloping. Not only they're like closing their carport and renting it, but now you see trailers, they overdevelop, and then they don't even have a space for parking spaces. And then what's happening? These people are coming into your property, blocking the sidewalk. It's a complete disaster. And I think that the quality of life is affecting the property values. That's the number one thing that affects property values. So I want to see what's going to be done about it.
So you have 3 minutes if you still want to.
No, I mean, in general, it's a complete disorder.
So the property where they're blocking your
Right.
driveway is the address you provided today?
It's all over the place. You look on 17th Street, you see a million cars parked. Not too long ago, in the alley, this guy comes in with a pickup truck backup, and all of a sudden he put one of those rapid responses mechanic shops in the middle of nowhere. You call the police, nobody show up. So what do you do about it? You have to come out and confront the people, which is a very dangerous city. It's very dangerous. So that's my concern. It doesn't happen in Miami Springs. It doesn't happen in Miami Beach. It's happening here. Why is that? I want to see what your agenda is concerning that.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
You stated that you don't live in Hialeah, right?
I don't live in Hialeah, but I have a property in Hialeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
And how many times has that happened where you've had to call?
it's
the
all
police?
the times. It's all the times. Sometimes I don't bother calling the police.
So,
They, the ramps in the corners for wheelchairs, they back up, they bring cars in, there's a fire hydrant, I went to the city department and they installed 2 signs there for no parking on each side of the fire hydrant. They don't respect it. They park in front of it, on the side of it. It's a disaster. I'm sorry, but I gotta tell you the truth.
No,
Okay.
that's what this is for.
And
Absolutely.
then I hear that this is for immigrants and that you have to pay more things for, no, immigrants, it's not my priority. It's the property values of Hialeah. Okay? Thank you.
No, absolutely. So we have,
So through the chair.
go ahead, sir.
So I'm a long life Hialeah resident, and I've seen 70s and the 80s and 90s, 2000, and I'm sorry, I disagree. It must be your block or something. We can take care of it. I disagree. 73. And I can tell you, hey, so my opinion, sir, I disagree with you. I think there's a situation in the block. That's why the chief of police is there. Okay, I disagree. So my opinion is no, you're not right. The police answer, every time you call the police, they're gonna come out. The morale's up, the streets are a lot safer than before. Maybe you don't live here, that's why, but I can tell you as a life resident, it's a lot safer. So I disagree with you. I think if it's a situation in your block, we'll be glad to attend it. Thank you.
Sir, if you want to speak, your 3 minutes are up, but if you wanted to speak, you had to come to the microphone. But your 3 minutes are up. Your 3 minutes are up. That's not a problem, sir. We have your address, so we could run a record and we could see.
Thank you.
That's not a problem.
Jessica Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, 33012. I'm gonna forward my 3 minutes to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine.
Okay. No, that's my concern. I mean, in real estate, and I used to be a former realtor, it's location, location, location. Okay? And the location earns the price by the quality of life. And if you don't have quality of life here, what can I tell you? Cars parked on top of the sidewalk, all over the place. Encroachment, sometimes I just suffer from an encroachment that I have to pay a lot of money to resolve it. There's no respect. What can I tell you? Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do we have anybody else that would like to speak during comments and questions? Sir, if you could just wait 1 second, we're gonna have someone speak to you. Okay, any other comments and questions tonight? All right, let's move on to announcements and amendments or corrections to the agenda.
There's none, ma'am.
Okay, and we have no presentations this evening.
That's correct.
All right, let's start our agenda, please.
Madam Chair, if I might,
Yes,
it's
sir.
not so much a presentations. First of all, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come and meet with me and the staff to go and discuss issues related to the budget. I hope that us being able to meet and discussing and going through details and trying to do an explanation of all things Hialeah, whether it's our millage rate, whether it's our water rates, where the money's being invested. From day one, we wanted to work in a very transparent way. At no time have I restricted anyone's ability to sit down with Ruth, our budget director, with Pedro, with Jorge. At no time has there been any restriction of meeting with any department head to speak about issues that might be particularly important to you that you might want to see in the budget. This is a process that started earlier in the year and has been working its way. Many of you have periodically come to the office. You have met with our folks. You've met with me to discuss items that you thought were important, whether it was streets, whether it was investment in parks. Yesterday, we went through an elaborate presentation of items that we had come to you in the last budget cycle as priorities, and then a demonstration of the actual projects that we did. There's no difference in this budget. The interesting dynamic of what's going on in the city right now, and we've said it over and over yesterday, because Hialeah está de moda, because people right now are looking at Hialeah, despite what this gentleman says, property values continue to go up. People are looking at the city of Hialeah for investment opportunities, and that is just a reality of it. The taxpayer in Hialeah is broken down into various categories. There is the taxpayer who rightly so is eligible for multiple exemptions, elderly exemptions, homestead exemptions, and what have you. And that resident pays no taxes to the city of Hialeah, zero, not a dime to the city of Hialeah. They pay school board, they pay debt, they pay county, but they pay $0 to the city of Hialeah. And there's about 1,700 and change homes that do that. There's another taxpayer in the city of Hialeah that's been a homeowner for a long time. And if you've been a homeowner for a long time, and if you look at your millage rate and your millage of what you pay to the city of Hialeah, you realize that in many instances over the past 6-7 years, in total, your taxes may have gone up about $200. And I'm talking about a 6-year period. I'm not talking about from 1 year to the next. Just want to be clear. I want to make sure that the media understands. In 6 years, in many instances, homeowners that have had long-term residency in our home and have taken advantage of the applicable homestead exemptions and what have you, may be experiencing in this budget anywhere from $4 to about $8 a month in increase over what they paid last year. Those that are investing in our city now, those that are buying in our city now, that obviously are impacted by the reset of their purchase price, pay a lion's share of what's going on in this increase in budget. But if you own a home and if you pay taxes on your home and you do your due diligence and don't just pay attention to the noise, you'll realize that the small increment that that we gain because of the increase in property value, because of all the hard work that's been done, not just last year, but the 4 or 5 years before that, the difficult times, the difficult years where they kind of held the rudder, and now's the time when we're starting to reap those rewards. That's why we did not offer to touch the millage rate and keep it the same rate it's been for 10 years. The millage rate has not changed. Disingenuous to tell people that we are raising taxes. We're not raising taxes. Disingenuous to tell people that we're raising water rates. We're not raising water rates. We're keeping them stagnant. Your stormwater fee has not moved in 25 years, okay? This city continues to do a lot of stuff with no thrills. There is no council member here that has a personal escort. You do not have 5-member staffs, okay? There's nothing in this budget that I could tell you is a luxury. We have been playing catch up from ERP system that allows us to get a handle on our accounting. Do I need to remind you that when we first got here, checks were being issued without invoices, without anybody signing off of it. This was like the Wild West. The ERP gives us peace of mind. If a check comes out or requested from the police department, our finance department knows it instantly. Our current system is operated by somebody who used to work here, who doesn't work here anymore, but you got to go and pay them to tell you how to turn the damn thing on. It isn't right for the second largest city of Miami-Dade County. You've all asked about streets. You've all knocked on doors in this city. You've all earned the right to sit up here. And in the southeast end of Hialeah, there were residents that told you, because they told me, my street has not been touched since I moved in my house. We're touching those streets now. And if you're not being completely overhauled with drainage and everything that comes with it, you're in the design stage. This is what we told residents that we would do. Your police department was bleeding police officers on a daily basis. We had officers going, and no disrespect, but leaving here to go to work in Opalaca. Let your mind get around that for a second, okay? We did not have the salary structure to be able to keep them. Our residents were paying for police officers that would work here 3 or 4 years and leave, and then become shining stars someplace else. The same thing happening with your fire department, okay? Promises were made when they were hired to a select group of firefighters that the government failed them. They were hired under a pension plan that, while I'll be the first to tell you, is unsustainable long-term, and the changes that have been made are probably the right changes so that this thing could stay afloat. But there was a whole crew of police and firemen that, not to their doing, things got changed on them. And we're trying to fix all that so that we do not lose police officers. Because if you've knocked on doors, you've also heard from folks talk to you about security and safety, and that they want police to answer quickly, and they want the fire, heaven forbid they need somebody to answer quickly. You've heard these things. Each and every one of you, if you're doing your job, has talked to residents, check that, business owners who want to invest in the city, want to grow their business in the city. And unfortunately, because for such a long time, there was no investment going on. There was no lining projects. There was no repair of lift stations or pump stations, okay? This is money that goes underground. It's not sexy. There's no ribbon cutting for it. There's no, look what I did, look at here. As Kevin said yesterday, there's no slides to show you because it's all underground, lining projects that were needed to be done, that had to be done. If not, this city stops to grow. And like I said yesterday, I do not want the sword of Durham hanging over us, okay? Not from my doing, okay? Not that I invited Durham, but they're here. They're here. And we have to navigate with them and work with them. You heard from your license department yesterday how many businesses are kind of stagnated because of this. It's investment that has to be done. You can't get away from it. You've all knocked on doors and people told you our parks are closed on weekends. You've all heard it. You've all heard it. They want their parks open. Parents are desperate to get their kids in parks like they used to be in parks. And you can't do it when it's closed on weekends and there's no programming and no safety. Because when you do that, you know who you give the parks to? The gang members. All right? The people that are there with mischief. That's what this budget does. There are no frills in this budget. There's nothing other than meat and potatoes of what residents have asked for. That's what's in this budget. That's why we asked you to support this millage rate. We ask you to support everything that we presented. And again, you can hold me accountable this time next year if I fail to deliver on the things that we said that we're going to deliver. So, Madam Chair, I would hope all of you, after you finish your debate, would support this budget and all the items. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. Council members, let's get ready to start our agenda. We have item 9A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, accepting for budget purposes the Miami-Dade County Assessment Roll, establishing a tax millage rate of 6.3018 mils for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024, which is an increase of 13.07% over the rollback rate of 5.5736. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, but remember, Councilwoman, this is a second reading. Therefore, it's also a public hearing and we need to open it up for any comments or questions before we motion. Is there anyone online?
Motion
Okay.
otherwise.
So I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Congratulations, council members, for approving this. It's been now 10 years that we haven't increased our millage rate. So congratulations to those of us that approved it. Moving on to item B.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the general fund budget for the city of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalty for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is also on second reading and public hearing. Do we have anyone in council chambers that would like to discuss the item or anyone online? All right, I have a motion by
Second.
Councilwoman Casals Munoz and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, item C, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Public Works Fund of the city of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. approving water and sewer rate increases as provided for herein to maintain proper coverage ratios as required by outstanding bond covenants, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading and public hearing. Anyone online or in council chambers that would like to discuss this item?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Santana. Go ahead.
The Public Works Fund, again. I know this goes to the street, I know this goes to the water department, but the question is, do we have a plan to be fixing the pumping stations? Again, thank you for doing what you're doing, I haven't had feces and piss coming up to the side of my knees for the last, 2 years in front of my house. So it's an improvement, that's why I give it to you. I give it to you when I have to give it to you, but I dealt with that for many, 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 many years. And believe it or not, a lot of people in this council and a lot of the whole administration used to blame you as county commissioner, believe it or not. But, thank you for doing what you're doing. But are we planning still to fix the one by Amelia Hart Park, by the one on Okeechobee that somehow it's my pumping station? I don't know. It has a lot of engineering stuff that I just can't still wrap my mind against with the overflow when we have the heavy rains come down, and then we're still getting an increase on that. My question is, are we gonna have a lot of these things fixed without having vehicles basically covering up the manholes that they're still doing when there's heavy rain?
Yeah, I think Kevin's here, right?
Yes.
Kevin, if you could just share, if you could come up and just share the game plan.
Hey, good evening, council. Kevin Linsky. Yeah, we had a chance to discuss a little bit last night what the next 2 or 3 years are going to be. If you look at the past investment for the last 10 years into the system, there's a ratio that you're supposed to use, right? Which is CapEx, how much you spend on your system versus what you depreciate. We've been running in the wrong direction. We've underinvested. The good news is we sat down with the mayor over several meetings. We looked at the ARPA funds and needs of the department and have cordoned off a substantial amount of money over the next, from now till 2026. And we have 2 massive contracts to start lining the system. And the reason why the system overflows, there can be some poor design areas, but it's really primarily during large storms, water leaks into the system, the county system fills up, you try to pump into the system, and you get overflows. So sometimes it's not entirely the city's fault. Sometimes the entire system fills up. But I think if we're all here 3 years from now, the numbers are going to look a lot better for how much we pay for wastewater services, how many overflows we have, which really aren't that. I don't live near a manhole that overflows, which is a totally different matter. But when I look at the number of overflows over the years, it's not terrible for a system this size, but I think it's going to get a lot better.
Kevin, is there a, I don't know if it's linear feet or miles, I don't know what the term would be, of lining that's going to be going on over the next couple of years?
There is. So right now there's about 1.7 million feet of pipe within the system that technically could be lined. In the past, we've lined about 30% of that. Some of that, all of that still should be good statistically because you look at the lifespan of the lining. So that's going to leave us still like 1.2 million of feet that need to be lined. If we get to keep all the ARPA money that you've dedicated, we can line nearly 50% of it.
Wow.
I think you had stated that maybe one day there would be an executive session to talk about this.
Yeah.
If you like numbers, I'll go through them. But what's the challenging part is anybody could come in and spend the money and line a pipe. We have basins that are 99% lined and out of compliance with Durham. So I could go in, spend all the money, line a basin, still out of compliance. So I'm having to spend, and I like spending, this is what I love to do actually, 30-40% of my time building spreadsheets to figure out how to invest this money so that we get out of these moratoria and that we drive down the amount of flow. And the data that I've looked at to date is really low quality data. I'm not blaming any individual. It's not individuals, right? But I'm having to really rebuild all this stuff.
So members, at yesterday's meeting, I mentioned that we have not had a chance to have a meeting or an executive meeting or whatever you want to call it with Kevin and be able to address some of these things that that we had talked about a year ago. And then obviously when Armando left, it became scramble mode to be able then to bring somebody in that I had confidence in that could address these things. I had worked with Kevin in the county in the past. So you know, it's probably timely and we'll probably do it over the next couple of weeks. So, you know, we'll look at all your schedules to try to do that. Because I do know that you get residents and business owners and they talk to you about these things and it has to be addressed. And like I said, it's not sexy, it's underground, but it needs to be done. You know, if ignoring it, I think we're going to hamper the future growth of the city. So we'll do that. We'll do that so we could get a better understanding. All of us could get a better understanding. And there are some issues out there. There are things still outlying with the county that we're working on. And then he could brief you on those things as far as also, you know, flows that were coming into our city that are our flows, you know, and how we're addressing these things with the county.
So through the chair.
Yes, sir.
It's our observation the past 2 years, we've been proactive instead of offensive. As far as the issues that we're having, we're actually.
Councilman, put the microphone closer to your mouth. I
think of our hearing problem.
He does.
I know he does.
Gotta-
Actually, I'm
closer.
sorry. I was playing. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Put the mic
Actually-
closer.
Right here, right here.
There you go.
It was a joke, brother. So actually, I think it feels we're very proactive. I know that I sat down with you and we have a plan. We're just not looking for problems all the time. Actually, we're being proactive. So thank you very much. Actually, if you deep dive the budget that we're doing, actually, we're probably covering like 2 years behind and we should have taken care of it before, right? This is where we at.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you very much. And I feel very comfortable that as far as going forward in future development, we're going to be proactive on that. So thank you.
Motion to
Thanks.
approve.
So I have a motion by Councilwoman Casas
I haven't
Munoz.
finished my
And a second.
comments and questions.
Did you pause this time? when you
No, you
finished?
paused it, yeah.
Okay, government,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Mayor, I'm not trying to be difficult. I swear, I'm really not, but he did not answer the question regarding the pumping stations. You know, that's for me, if you're gonna invest, that we can't cut $3.5 million. And you guys are gonna invest that in fixing pumping stations, and we could just have it on the record that you were gonna fix pumping stations, because I think about if I would in the water department shoes that I have to sit outside in traffic all day long in the rain, right? Where the way the people drive here in Hialeah, right? And putting my life on the line and getting into a car accident, right? Putting vehicles over the manholes, that way, all the sewage and everything spills out. Thank God it ain't spilling out in front of my school and in front of my street anymore. But at the same time, the question was still not answered. What about the pumping stations?
They're gonna get addressed.
Thank you.
Juan.
Thank you.
All right, so it seems that we already have a motion, I believe, by Council.
We're still open.
Councilwoman
I have a
Casas
second.
Munoz, Second
Oh,
by
Public
Councilmember
Works.
Zogby. Okay, so I
Eric
have,
Johnson, Hialeah Firefighters Local 1102. We have extensive experience with water in Hialeah with the fire department, just to let you know. We flow millions and billions of gallons
Right.
each year. To Mr. Lansky, this ain't your problem. You inherited this crap. The blame is on the previous administration. The blame is on the people who have cut the funding for the water over the years. After year, after year, after year, after year. Hence the first part of our speech tonight. Stop cutting. We can't continue to do it with less. We've tried. We keep trying year after year after year. We didn't line our pipes. We knew about it 15, 20 years ago, didn't we? Didn't we?
Yeah.
We knew about it. We knew 15, 20 years ago, half the fire hydrants didn't work in the city. But we kept on doing the same thing. Adding the Band-Aids on a bleeding wound. It wouldn't stop the bleeding. And here we are again with the same thing. This isn't subject to conversation. It's really not. It's not your problem. You're doing a great job. And I'm a big critic. Trust me. If you're screwing up, I tell you. But let me tell you something. We got problems. We got issues. We got to fix them. I understand about the manholes. I get it, because there's one person they call before you. They call 911 for the fire department when there's crap coming out of the street. We deal with it. We deal with it every day. but it's not the manholes that are a problem. And it's not their problem either. It's the previous administration that kept the lies going. We all talk about the millage right now. It's great we kept the millage the same for 10 years, but what happened before that? Nobody wants to address the fact that we cut the millage for political reasons. And that's why we are where we are today. We have all suffered as residents, as workers, as councilmen, as people, as department heads because of that. And nobody wants to bring up the 11,000-pound elephant in the room. I will. By the way, hearing aids, I need to hear you from the microphone, all right? That's why I said wrong person, sunshine.
I keep on telling him to put the microphone closer,
And every time.
and I don't have hearing aids.
And
so-
everybody, every time somebody brings up the millage, my ass is gonna be up here calling and blaming on who it is. Not you guys. It's not you. And it's not you. The problems have been here. And now we're all paying for them collectively and together.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So just to recap, we're on item C. We have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, and I think we have a second by
from
Councilmember Zogby. All right. Anyone else for comments and questions, or can we call the roll? We'll call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Donidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. We're on item D.
Proposed resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, reaffirming the current rate of 4.0% of all sales of wastewater service and all sales of water service within the city as payment in lieu of franchise fee pursuant to Hialeah, Florida Code Section 94-163 for fiscal year 2024, beginning on October 1st, 2023, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by
It's public
Councilwoman
hearing, by the
Casals
way.
Munoz. It is a public hearing, so I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, but this is a public hearing. Do we have any council discussion? Go ahead.
5601 West 10th Avenue, Washington. Once again, you guys have worked with less. And I know everybody's saying that, hey, what's it called? This 4%, but it's 4%. And honestly, I don't even know where my money's going when it says Durham, you know? So I am gonna get to the bottom of this. I really just, I'm trying my best to behave myself, really. But if you guys are leaving the school business, we shouldn't be in the franchise business either. I'm gonna be echoing this again. You know, at the end of the day, we shouldn't even franchised. And due to the negligence of the past administration, you guys had, not you guys, but the previous council people that were sitting up there approved all this nonsense. You know, and then what did it fix? Obviously nothing. Now, if prior administration did not do certain things, how we're gonna be bringing them accountable for everything that they did not do? You know, that's the question right there. Bringing accountability. That's right, you know, but again, you know, $3.5 million, that is not a lot of money. You know, that is not a lot of money, especially operating a budget like this. You know, and remember, a lot of you guys went and you know, knocked on a lot of doors. And yeah, you heard about the complaints about the water going up. And hopefully, you know, now when I have my meeting with the mayor regarding the garbage issue, you know, something will come out positive. But all I see is one person saying no, right? And then that's the only person obviously seeing things from outside the box. You get me? We shouldn't be in the franchising business. Let's get out of the franchising business. Let's turn the chapter, you know? And nothing, that's it. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I just had a question for the city attorney. Is there any reason why it's called payment in lieu of franchise fee instead of just franchise fee? Confused about that.
Well, payment in lieu usually indicates that it's instead of, it's as opposed to, it's to serve as the franchise fee. And you know, that's the verbiage that's been used in the code since evidently the adoption of this in 2013.
Yeah, I was just curious about that, and maybe somebody has the history on it. Because we keep kind of offhand referring to it as a franchise fee. I just wanted to know exactly how it works. Since it does seem with that verbiage that it's sort of in lieu of, it's like as opposed to, I think I agree with that.
I just wanted to know specifically why that's the case.
I guess, sir, that's what I can tell you. And it says, what it also says is that it will be imposed for no less than 3%, no greater than 6%. And that it will be established each fiscal year concurrently with the budget. If there's no change, it's reaffirmed by resolution. If there is an upward or downward adjustment, it's done by separate ordinance.
So, sorry, just to finish that thought, what would be the operative effect in the case that this were to be denied today?
Well, I don't know if I can speak to the ultimate operative effect, but the code, the way it's drafted, it doesn't use discretionary language. It states that the city will act upon this. So as long as it remains on the books, it would appear that the city needs to take affirmative action each year. The rate for the sale of water and the rate for wastewater service shall be established, each fiscal year and adopted concurrently with the adoption of the annual budget. And shall are usually words of mandatory words.
Right. So in essence, if I understand that correctly, you wouldn't even be able to take off the franchise fee today. You would have to do that by removing the ordinance itself. The only thing you could do today is change the actual figure percentage between 3 and 6. Is that accurate?
Yeah, if you're going to, what you have before you is a resolution because you're keeping it the same.
Right.
And that's what the code provides. If you're going to change it, that requires an ordinance. But what I'm telling you is that this is stating that this will be adopted each year annually with the budget. And yes, if you're going to do something about it, some kind of separate legislative action about this section would be considered.
Okay, understood. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Zogby, you wanted to speak? Yes.
I think some people don't understand what franchise fee means in our case. We're not selling McDonald's franchises, franchise fees, and I'm not talking about my colleagues up here. I'm talking about anybody from the outside that may not understand this. Franchise fees in this case is a little more complicated. Utilities that run within our public right-of-ways in the city pay franchise fees because although people are paying for their consumption of water, there's still a delivery system that takes it to their homes and must be repaired and maintained. And it goes through our public right-of-ways. And to maintain those delivery systems, those pipes, sometimes we've got to break streets and break sidewalks and do very expensive work. And those franchise fees can help pay for that. Other than that, whoever thinks that we can just nonchalantly just get out of the franchise business. The proposed budget for this year is 331 pages. I want whoever suggests that to come back in the next meeting, review it. It's online. It's online on our website and tell us what you're going to cut, what you suggest that we cut $3.5 million from. What park do we close? What fire station do we close to make up those $3.5 million? So there needs to be some fiscal responsibility before anybody starts throwing around numbers and saying, oh, we can just get rid of this. Well, there's 331 pages, a lot of meat in here. Let's hear some suggestions. But short of that, there's no argument here. There's no discussion here. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I have a first motion. Do we have any other council
A second.
discussion? And I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Ms. Perez? Yes. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Absolutely no.
Ms. Casam Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Thank you. We're on item E, please. Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Streets Fund of the City of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023 and ending on September 30th, 2024.
repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on this item?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. To echo what the councilman just finished saying,
That's another item.
was it called, regarding streets, because the thing is, I'm not
That's another
stupid.
item.
I can actually, excuse me,
That's
sir, let me have my 3 minutes. Basically,
Councilman is trying to tell you that we're on item.
I know
E.
what item we're on.
Are we discussing
I'm
that
trying to
item?
say what item we're on, you see? So if we're on the street item and we're talking about another item regarding public works or the water or something like that, you guys are approving a budget for each department as a separate, not entity, but it's separated. So for somebody to say that I'm giving out numbers when I was told numbers, this is what it is. This is what the numbers I was just given. So, and it's not my responsibility to say, oh, let's not approve streets when we need to fix the roads. And then we're not gonna approve streets to do what? Not have streets working? I'm not gonna say that. Right? But at the end of the day, those numbers were given to me. So, but again, I'm not the elected official. You guys are the elected officials. Right? You guys are responsible to keep, as the body of City of Hialeah, to make sure all the checks and balances are correct as the administrator brings and as the mayor brings. You guys have to have accountability for all this. Not me, you guys. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes,
Motion carries. The item is approved.
thank you. Moving on to item F.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Stormwater Fund of the City of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to discuss this item? Seeing there is none, I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
And a second.
and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
thank you. Moving on to item G, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the special revenue funds of the City of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to discuss this item?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
And a second.
and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
all right, so moving on to item H.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the capital project funds of the City of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to discuss this item?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
Second.
and I have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
I would have to say that this is like the part of the budget that I'm most excited about. I love to see all the pages of all the capital improvements and broken up by all the departments. I think that it was visually, I really enjoyed seeing, the accountability for each of the departments and where we're going and how we're going to grow. So thank you for providing that in the budget. I really enjoyed that.
Mayor,
Alright.
I, through the chair. real
Yes,
quick,
sir.
it's on the- I was trying to make sure that we move through this quickly, but Mayor, I want to make sure that we have a lot of great projects coming up, a lot of capital improvement projects. Very excited about it. I know we have a lot of street renovations on Southeast, East Side Hialeah, also within the District 13 County Commission area district as well, that a lot of these projects are going to be benefiting.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure, because sometimes we play lo que se llama la política barata, right? But cheap politics. And so I want to make sure that these projects that we're approving, renovations of streets, renovations of drainage, right? Because we hear a lot of when it's hurricane season, we hear a lot of complaints about flooding, and I want to make sure that the residents know exactly who it is that's been approving these projects, right? I want to make sure that they know that they know who are the folks that stood on the difficult side of a decision and not on the easy side, right? I want to make sure, Mayor, that folks know exactly who it was that voted to fix their street and fix their potholes and fix their sidewalks. If that's okay with you, Mayor, I want to make sure we echo that everywhere that we can, because again, it's very easy to say, hey, let's cut everything. Let's cut everything. But the truth is that it's not fair to the residents if we do that. It's not fair because we want to, maybe make a sound bite, whatever the case is. It's not fair to do that because we have to allow them to make a decision, right? If we had residents coming up here today, if we had residents telling us, córtame todos los servicios, cut all the services because we want to save $5 a month, then okay, then maybe we might have to consider that. But no one is saying that, right? When we talk about the franchise fee, listen, I have an event coming up now in Southeast, and you know about it because she knows about it. I believe we have about 5 projects in that area, right? In the oldest part of town, right? That are up now. They're going to start the design phase, and then hopefully, God willing, start the renovations and all that. It's about $3 million. So if we were to go ahead and remove that 4%, which by the way, I want to make it very clear, since we got in 2019, you know this because we talked about it. This council was the one that asked for a study on that franchise fee. And we brought that fee down from whatever the hell it was to 4%.
10.
Right.
It used to
From
be 10. This
10%,
council lowered it.
from 10% to 4%. But we did it in phases, right? Because if el día mañana we decide to go ahead and just remove that, right? It's irresponsible. Because for 10 years before we got here, right? That fee was implemented for whatever the reason, right? Plug holes in the budget, whatever the case is. I wasn't here. But for 10 years, they've allocated those funds for salaries, for operations, for whatever the case is, from one day to the next to say, hey, we're going to rip that off. It's irresponsible and it's also dangerous, right? So when we came in 2019, we asked for a study on what the impact was going to be. Hialeah is not the only municipality that has a franchise fee within the city, within the state of Florida. I want to be very clear with that. Hialeah is not the only one, but we reduced it, right? We reduced it from 10 to 4%. And it took time. We did a study. We did things organized. We were responsible about it, right? We wanted to make sure that, okay, if we're going to make this reduction, where are we going to find the money for allocations that have been contingent upon this fee for 10 years? To do otherwise is reckless. It's irresponsible. So we got here now to 4%. 4%, I believe it equates to about $5 a month for the average resident, $4 or $5 a month, right? So if I got to go to Southeast Hialeah tomorrow and tell them, Mira, we're going to give you $5 a month, but we're not going to redo your streets. I don't think that's going to happen. And for us to believe that that's going to happen, it's not only naive, but it shows that maybe we shouldn't be up here making those decisions. So again, I'm very proud of that, Mayor. And again, it's sometimes when we play politics, you know, if you're not working as a unit and moving together as a team for the betterment of this community, it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? Playing politics with very important topics in the city of Hialeah, it makes you feel uncomfortable because it's easy to play politics. Anybody, it doesn't take talent to play politics with important decisions. So, Mayor, I ask, please, all these projects that we're approving today, I want to make sure that residents know exactly who it was that approved them. Thank you.
People will know.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I had a motion on the table by Councilwoman Casas Munoz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Can we please call the roll?
Ms. Casas Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Did I open that for a public hearing?
I don't believe you did, ma'am.
You should go back,
Is-
if you.
I'm
you
not
did,
sure
you
if
should
I
just
did.
go back and if anyone wants
I
to
think we
address.
started discussing and I don't know if I allowed
Just ask
it.
if anybody wants to address that item.
I know, you
I
did.
thought you did, but I'm not positive really.
5601 West
To
10th.
be honest, yeah,
Ave-
give me just 1 second. I don't think we even read the item.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the debt service funds of the city of Hialeah, Florida for fiscal year 2024, commencing on October 1st, 2023, and ending on September 30th, 2024. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. So this item is on second reading and public hearing. We're on item I. Does anyone in council chambers want to discuss this item?
Are we on H or I?
I.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. We had a motion already. We have a motion by Councilman Casas Munoz.
Second.
And we had a second by Councilmember. Let's leave it how it was. Tundidor.
I'm sorry.
Let's leave it how it was. Councilmember Tundidor, if you don't mind,
Bump
Councilmember.
somebody. Yeah, no.
Is that okay with you?
Whoever- Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm sorry, and you announced the public hearing for the.
I did.
You did, okay.
Yes, I did.
We're calling the roll again. Ms. Casas Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes. Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right. Thank you so much. I think this concludes our meeting. Congratulations, Mayor. Congratulations to our budget and finance team for putting this together. All right.